Hello everybody, Jake your resident content cowboy here, yeehaw, and it's Wednesday. On Wednesdays we do tier lists, on Mondays we wear pink. Hold on.
And I want my pink shirt back! I want my pink shirt back!
Yes, it is that time again. It is tier list time. I wanted to take a moment before I put this out. I wanted to really get some time with Espeon, and now I feel like I know exactly where I want to place everything. So let me take you over to our handy dandy tier list, our tiers for today. We have the God tier, where one Pokemon will exist. There can only be one. We're not frickin' Norse around here. We've got our S tier, our silly good tier. We've got our A tier, a total package tier. We've got our B tier. And what, you know, we still have the B tier. We've got our C tier, the can we use these? Yes, sort of tier, and the Decidueye Memorial tier. For a long time, Decidueye was terrible, and Decidueye was at the bottom of many of my tier lists, but now it is the Decidueye Memorial tier. So this tier list is for every type of play outside of full-on competitive 5-stack teams. I will also, at the end of this, do a very quick list that is a little more detailed for solo queues, so you can anticipate this to cover about most all of the game, except if you are playing solo, you kind of have to be a carry Pokemon if you want to win as the Pokemon who carries the team. I guess there's not a better way to say it other than if you are playing by yourself and you are good at carrying teams with hyper carry Pokemon, there is not a better choice. It would never be better for you to be a defender. That being said, if you're not good at carrying teams, it would probably be a lot better for you to play a defender. I know that's a little odd, but when you're playing solo, you have to take into account that you might have to be the one to end up carrying your team. It's not the way I like it, it's just the way the world is. This first tier list is for just about everything else, and I'm going to talk in depth about a lot of these Pokemon, so don't worry. I'm not just going to say Absol, A tier, moving on. Let's start with Absol, A tier, moving on. Okay, another speedster. So let's talk about Absol for a second. I think Absol is actually really solid. We're seeing it more in competitive play. It is an A tier Pokemon in my opinion. It's very, very good. We're seeing it more in competitive. It works pretty good in solo because you can carry hard. It works well in lane. It also works pretty decently well in the central area. So I think this Pokemon is pretty strong wherever you put it. Still falls off a little late game, but with the nerfs to Buddy Barrier, you can still get some of those big critical hits and take out enemies in some of the later fights. It is a strong carry Pokemon that I do think is outshined maybe by a few other Pokemon on this list with sort of a similar function, but I think Absol's a really solid choice right now. I could see an argument that maybe it's a little closer to B tier only because of its late game, but I think it's just so solid and so strong that Absol is actually a pretty strong Pokemon right now. A tier, I think. I think it's a solid choice for a lot of situations in the game. And that's one of the other interesting things about it. I think you can play it bottom, you can kind of play it top, you can play it center, and I think that's, you know, a really versatile Pokemon. We'll do some other speedsters here. Gengar. Gengar, I almost want to put this in S tier right now. So this is interesting. The thing about Gengar is, as I mentioned before, kind of one of those crazy hyper carries. If you're amazing with Gengar, you can wipe the entire enemy team. If you're bad with Gengar, you're useless. So this is a weird Pokemon in that respect, right? Competitively, we're even seeing some play with this as well. Some top players taking this into the central area. So I guess my thought is, what do you do with a Pokemon like this? In the hands of the wrong player, it's very bad. And in the hands of the right player, it's crazy good. And I think for most play, if you have someone who is, as Zoinks might say, cracked on the sticks with Gengar, I think you're in a really great spot. Gengar has not been in a better spot in the game since maybe when it was released and people thought it was the most overpowered Pokemon ever. I hesitate to put it S just because it doesn't have as much mobility as I would like. There are some Pokemon that are a little more mobile that I think are just a little better. However, I think it's really solid right now. I think A is a very fair place to put it. with the caveat, once again, if you're amazing, like the best, you're kind of wiping entire teams with this Pokemon. So it's one of those high skill ceiling Pokemon, but also, boy, the floor is so low on this one too. Let's find another speedster for us. There aren't too many of them left. Talonflame, now this is an interesting one. I actually think Talonflame's fallen off a little bit. I think it's more B than it used to be, which makes me very sad because I think it's one of my favorite Pokemon to play. They've nerfed its damage a couple times. And the interesting thing that happens now is you're seeing Talon get played into a lot of characters that we'll talk about later, like Blastoise and Blissey, Greedent, very popular. Basically, anything that has a lot of bulk really hurts Talon because Talon needs to delete things in a combo. And if Talon doesn't, it's in a weird spot. You're not seeing it as much competitively anymore either. I think they kept scaling this Pokemon back, and I actually thought it was still more viable than it was, but even playing it from just the hyper carry perspective, I think there are a few other Pokemon that outshine it quite a bit. And again, it hurts my heart a little bit to say it, but the combo and the KO resets you get from even Gengar at times make me feel like, well, Talon has incredible mobility, but it's not as easy to get those massive KOs with it as it used to be. It feels like it feels like it's in a worse spot. I gotta say, I think it's B tier right now, and this is the first time I've even dropped it a little bit. But I think that's where Talon's sitting. Zeraora is the weirdest one for me. So let me talk about Zeraora. I'm not sure where to put it right now. I'm gonna set it in the God tier, but that's not where it's going. So here's what's going on with Zeraora. It's a carry, which is good. I don't like how it carries that much. I like Wild Charge more than Discharge because I think Discharge is very weak. A lot of people were saying the shield buffs on Discharge were good. I don't think they were. It's nice to have a buff, but I don't think it's relevant at all. I think its level scaling is bad. It's been bad for a while. And what I mean by that is that at level 5, it doesn't get a move, right? It gets one at 6. It gets its first move at 6. It gets its next move at 8. It gets its Unite at 10. It's later than basically every Pokemon. And then its Unite moves later than anyone. And then it gets its final move upgrade at 14. It's just so much work you have to put in with this Pokemon, and it is a strong carry at times. If you're a higher level than the enemy team, you can really delete some enemies with it. But in general, I think this is the worst speedster. It's not unplayable, so I can't put it in the Decidueye Memorial tier, but I have to at least put it in the C tier. I just think, especially if we're comparing these speedsters, I think it's the worst choice of all the speedsters. It needs to be fixed. I don't know why they haven't changed its leveling. It makes no sense to me. I would love to see this Pokemon more usable. If you're playing this game in any capacity that's not full-on competitive, you can use any Pokemon you want. And in fact, the competitive game I don't feel like has been fully solved, but I would be shocked if we saw really high-level teams or high-level players succeeding a ton with Zeraora. It just has so many drawbacks. It's super unfortunate, but there are our speedsters. We still don't have another speedster in Unite, and if you know about the next Pokemon coming, it is not a speedster either. So that is the end of our speedsters for today. Where to from here? Let's head into, I don't know, let's go defenders next. I see Blastoise right here. Blastoise is definitely an S tier Pokemon right now. One of the meta defining Pokemon in the game is Blastoise. Blastoise is incredible with Rapid Spin. Rapid Spin Water Spout is essentially the build. I know some people going Rapid Spin Hydro Pump for the burst damage there, and I think there's some viability there too, but Rapid Spin Water Spout is the Blastoise build. Its Unite move is still crazy. People are stacking with it, which, I mean, come on. You know how much that means to me, seeing people stacking with a Pokemon. Blastoise stacking special attack specs, you see it in the top path, you see it in the central area, you see it in the bottom path playing a more defender role. It's all over the map, it plays every role well. There's not a single team you probably couldn't slot it in on. I think it's one of the most, it might be the most versatile Pokemon in the entire game. It's tanky as heck, it does tons of damage, it's incredible. Blastoise is incredible, and again, it is a meta-defining choice. I think Blastoise is amazing. And when I say, you know, Pokemon like Talonflame have trouble, part of it is because you have to run up against a Blastoise, and you don't do well at all against the Blastoise. Moving on. Our next defender, Crustle. Crustle is either C or D. I think the Stealth Rock change has helped. I think the Stealth Rock change has helped this Pokemon. But man, it's so specific. It's so specific what goes on with this Pokemon, and another Pokemon does it so much better. Crustle is just, boy. My head is going, is it C now? Okay, so here's what it is. I think there's a way to use this Pokemon well. I just think there's so many better options. But I don't think it's useless. I don't think it's in the D tier level useless. But then if it's not in the D tier, who is? Crustle. What do we do with you, Crustle? I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. Its Unite's pretty good. I like it. I like Stealth Rock. The thing is, it has good Secure in a way, and then in a way it doesn't, because it's not a big pop of damage, and that's what we're seeing secure everything right now. We're seeing things get secured by, you know, Blastoise's Unite move, or Lucario's Power-Up Punch, or the boosted auto attack, or Unite move from Aegislash. So we're seeing Pokemon with these huge secures, Surf Greninja, and Crustle just doesn't have any of that. I'm gonna put it C right now, but I think I might move it down. I'm debating. Greedent, I believe, is an S tier Pokemon. It's almost A. It's almost A at times, but it's S. It's amazing. Solo, it doesn't carry as hard as you might need it to. You might have to play a different Pokemon solo, but you can win a lot of matches because of Greedent. Greedent does everything Crustle does, but better, I think. It doesn't have the consistent damage of Stealth Rock. It doesn't have that little area to it, but its burst damage is crazy. It moves around the map better. It's shocking what they've done with these two Pokemon. I mention it often, but I think Greedent is still a top tier choice. Competitively, it's probably closer to an A tier maybe, but in general, it also is one of those Pokemon that you can kind of play in any area. If you need to put it in the jungle, you could. I don't know why you would, but you could. If you want to send it to the enemy jungle central area, you know, you could send it over there. You can play it top, bottom. You can play it anywhere. It can cause problems all over the map. I think it's very, very good. One of the best in the game. Mamoswine, I'm having a little bit of a love affair with Mamoswine right now. I think Mamoswine competitively doesn't stack up against some other choices. However, outside of anything competitive, I actually think Mamoswine's an A tier choice. I really do. Of course, we are talking about a Pokemon in a defender role. You're not going to be able to carry insanely hard with this Pokemon, but if your team needs a defender, I think it is a super solid choice. I think Mamoswine feels so good right now. Rock that weakness policy on it. I think I'm rocking weakness policy, focus band, muscle band right now, and I just feel so impactful as Mamoswine. It feels good playing this Pokemon right now. One of my favorite defenders. In fact, now that I'm looking at it, I actually really like playing defenders. They're super fun. When you have a good team, you know, if you're duoing or even trioing, and you know your team knows how to play a carry Pokemon, and you can just defend or support them. Chef's kiss. Okay. Slowbro, I also think is an A tier choice. Really, really solid. It plays competitive well too. You can play it. It's a little hard to play in the bottom path non-competitive, but Water Gun secures really well. You know? Defenders are feeling so good right now. Just in this meta, I'm realizing defenders are just feeling so good because as I think about this Pokemon, I just think, well, you could absolutely have, you know, this Pokemon in a higher tier. But I mean, S tier is kind of crazy for a Slowbro right now. However, I think Slowbro's great. Surf. Play Surf. Scald is not a build. Okay, let's see. What's next? Snorlax. Snorlax is one of my least favorite Pokemon in the game. Not least favorite Pokemon from a, like, do you like this Pokemon standpoint. It's one of my least favorite Pokemon to play or have on a team. I think solo, this Pokemon is tragic. I think it's one of the most tragic Pokemon in the game. It's one of the defenders I like. I like playing this defender, but I feel like the lengths you need to go to make things work for your team with this. There are just so many better options. I think I might even put it D right now. I don't like this defender. I don't like this defender from a balance standpoint. I like playing it. I just feel like it's not as impactful as I want it to be. I might. I feel bad putting a Pokemon all the way down here in D. It's not terrible. It's early game's good. It's early game's pretty good. I don't know. Maybe I'll put it C. But all the Pokemon I have in C right now, I don't like. I don't like where they are positioned in the game currently. I'll think about this one. Let's see. Trevenant. I think Trevenant's very, very good. I think Trevenant's probably A tier as well. Again, in competitive, we saw it fall off of play, but we actually see teams take it into the top path. We see teams try to take it into the bottom path. I'm not seeing anyone throw it into that central area, I don't think. Maybe someone shares a little bit of central area with it so it can get 5 very fast. But in general, I think Trevenant is just in such a better place than it used to be. And as you're seeing, a lot of these tankier Pokemon, I think, are very, very solid in the game right now. Trevenant, especially because it also outputs an insane amount of damage. So a very, very strong choice right now. Woodhammer's probably not the build. It's probably Curse Horn Leech. I think Pain Split's also just not the build. There are cool options with this Pokemon that aren't its main build, but after the buff to Curse, it feels like it would be crazy not to play Curse Horn Leech. The resets on it are just pretty wild. So those are all of our defenders, unless I'm missing a defender. I believe that's all of them. Yeah. So there we go. Those are where the defenders sit right now. Again, the meta is really tanky. I feel like all these tanky Pokemon are doing great right now. They're doing really, really great. Let's see. Let's go to... We can do supporters. We got supporters right here. Blissey is A tier. If you're playing it solo, you know, good luck. So Blissey is competitively defining the meta a bit as well. In anything but you just playing by yourself, it's an A tier, maybe even teetering into S tier at some points pick. Egg Bomb has really amazing secure. You don't have to play that though. The big thing about this Pokemon is Safeguard. Safeguard is just incredible. It gives your ally a shield. It, you know, removes hindrances or makes them immune to them while they have this shield. It's pretty impactful. The things you can do with this Pokemon are gross, and I think because of that, it's definitely an A tier choice. Again, solo, when you're playing solo and you're not playing a carry, you're rolling the dice. Do you have a good ally or not? But in any other setting, I think this Pokemon is quite amazing. Next support, Eldegoss. I think Eldegoss is B. I almost want to put it C, but I think I'm just being a little too harsh on it. So I just feel like there's another Pokemon. It's weird. For the longest time, you didn't want to play Blissey. For the most part, you wanted to play Eldegoss. Its shielding was just so much more impactful. The amount of shields you got with it, the secure you got from Leaf Tornado, and they have bit by bit just pulled away little leaves from our pretty little Eldegoss, and now all of a sudden it's good, not great. And that's kind of where I land with this Pokemon. Good, not great. You can't say that it's bad, but at the same time, I just feel like there are a lot of other Pokemon taking its spot. Blissey takes its spot. Hoopa takes its spot. So I think because of that, it's fine. It's fine. Don't love it. It's fine. Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime, I think, is B. I think people are actually sleeping a little bit on Mr. Mime, but to be fair, there are issues with it. Here's the thing. It can actually carry pretty well, which is interesting. But the thing about Mime is its leveling at 13 makes its Guard Swap Plus, which is amazing, kind of irrelevant in most games because it's hard to get Mime to 13. So that is the weird position you're put in with Mr. Mime, is that you want to get Mr. Mime to 13, but at the same time, because Guard Swap Plus, if you're running this build, is so good, but at the same time, it's just so hard to do, and most matches you don't get there. So you've got this move that is not ideal, doesn't control super well. I think with a few tweaks, Mime is meta, but right now I think Mime is meta. That might be the best joke ever made. Okay, if you're at this point in the video and you heard that joke, I mean, you gotta let me know. That's the best joke that's ever been made. All right, moving on. What's our next support? Wiggly. This is an interesting one too. I think Wiggly's B. I think Wiggly has fallen off hard. And what happens is when certain Pokemon are popular that kind of make it tough to play Wiggly, all of a sudden Wiggly falls in viability. Wiggly used to be one of the best Pokemon in the game, I think. But when you have Blissey safeguarding everyone, it just makes it so much harder to do what you need to do as Wiggly and put them to sleep. So you lose 2 targets that can sleep there. Greedent can't go to bed when it's coveting. Blastoise can't go to bed when it's rapid spinning. And there are just lots of situations where you can't do your job as Wiggly the way you used to. I still think it's really good, but when other Pokemon become popular, especially ones that feel like they counter you pretty hard, it moves you down in viability. And that's why I think Wiggly is hanging out in the B tier right here. I think it carries harder than Blissey and stuff like that, but it also has problems just being all by itself. Next support is Hoopa. Hoopa is insane. Hoopa's insane. The way Hoopa works is insane. I wish I could remember who it was, but someone was even saying, what, if you remove all the damage from Hoopa, it still has a Unite move that pulls the entire team to a location. Like, Hoopa's crazy. Hoopa's crazy. A team with a good Hoopa is crazy. So, solo, it's not ideal all the time. I just played a solo match with Hoopa earlier. Threw my Hoopa Unite move at second Dread. 2 people decided not to take it. So, you know, solo Hoopa can still be really tough, but in general, Hoopa is crazy. Hoopa and Blastoise kind of feel like the dynamic duo right now of just Pokemon that you see on every single team, especially every competitive team. They're both really crazy good right now. And those are our supporters. Let's move on to our all-rounders here. We have Charizard. I think Charizard's an A-tier Pokemon. Really good. It kind of gets knocked down to B right now. I still think it's really solid, but it kind of teeters into B, and it's because of Blissey and Blastoise. And maybe even, well, Machamp too. So there are a lot of Pokemon that stop Charizard's Unite move and just make it a lot harder for Char to get done what Char needs to do. And because of that, I think Char loses a little viability right here. More Blissey means Char's hurt. And Blastoise as well. More Blastoise means it's not as fun being Char. However, it's still an amazing Pokemon. Once it becomes 9, it's crazy good. Just watch where you're throwing your Unite move. Make sure you're grabbing someone that's not unstoppable so you don't get your Unite move canceled, unless you're trying to cancel it to proc a Buddy Barrier, which is a cool strategy, but oftentimes not what you're trying to do. You're oftentimes trying to grab someone who happens to be unstoppable in that moment. I think Char is very good. One of its big issues is you have to play it in the center area. So, you know, in that respect, it kind of hangs out with Talonflame a little bit, but I just think it's more impactful than Talon right now. But you do have to play it centered. There's just really nowhere else to put Char. Garchomp. Okay. Garchomp. It's C. Okay, so here's the thing. Garchomp is not... The way Hoopa's kit works makes Hoopa insane. Hoopa is so good because of what Hoopa does. Garchomp is so bad because of what Garchomp does. Competitively, I think this Pokemon is a disaster. Personally, I think it's a disastrous choice. Solo and duo, trio, it's much better. Much better. But the issue with Garchomp, it's not the same issue that we have maybe with a Pokemon like Zeraora, where it needs some leveling, tune-ups, and stuff like that. It's a deeper issue, and it's an issue with how this Pokemon plays. It's kind of like what's going on with Crustle a little bit as well. Again, not impossible to do well with this Pokemon. I know there are some kingly Garchomps out there, but I would just say to anyone who wants to be kingly with Garchomp, just play someone else. Just play someone else, because you just get more value out of playing someone else. I don't know. It's okay. It's okay. I feel like I could move all 4 of these Pokemon down into the D tier, and it wouldn't stress me out at all. Next all-rounder, Lucario. Hey, Lucario, you still good? Yep, I'm still good. Lucario's never not been good. Lucario will never not be not good. Lucario's just Lucario. I don't know what to tell you, okay? If you want to know what's going on in Pokemon Unite, check in with me in a year, And I think I'll still be saying Lucario is insanely good. You know, it gets nerfs, but at the same time, it's never enough. The nerfs are never enough to stop this Pokemon. It's still insanely good. E-Speed's amazing. You can go through entire enemy teams, power up punch. You're unstoppable and you're securing object. He's crazy. He's crazy. Lucario's crazy. Machamp, I think, is A tier. I think Machamp's really, really solid. Close to S, I would say. I think Machamp's really good, actually. Solo and coordinated, really strong. You probably only play it in the top path. I see some people throw it in the center area. I think that's not necessary. I don't think it needs that much experience early. I think it does just fine when it's level 5 and 7, right? But you could, I guess you could. Struggles a little bit bottom because I think the lane is so wide at times, but it's not terrible anymore. And the big reason is because Karate Chop just does such incredible secure. So I think Machamp is really, really great right now. The ordering in this list doesn't really make sense. You know, I'm just kind of moving them in any order, but I kind of threw him up here just to say, hey, he's close to S. He's trying to grip up there. He's trying to climb up. No, I don't think so. Not yet. Not yet, but still very, very good. I think Machamp is awesome right now. Next all-rounder, Tsareena. I think Tsareena is probably B. I think it's a B tier choice. In the hands of a good carry, probably A. But, you know, it's fine. I think Zarina's fine. It's definitely better than everyone I see in the C tier right there. And I think pretty much everyone in the A tier outshines it in some ways. I do think this Pokemon has some value. You rarely see it used competitively, and I think there's some good reasons for that. So it kind of got over-nerfed, in my opinion. It was over-nerfed a little while back, but in most play, it's solid. I think anyone in the B tier is playable. They just have some other Pokemon that feel like, why be Tsareena when you could be Machamp? Why be Tsareena when you could be Lucario? I think that's what happens with some of these Pokemon here. But I don't think it's bad at all. I think it's good. B tier choice for sure. Aegislash, I think, is A. I think Aegislash is really, really good. You can carry like crazy with this Pokemon if you know what you're doing. As kind of a hyper carry, it's really, really solid. It reminds me a little bit of Gengar in that, although I like it better than Gengar personally, it reminds me a little bit of Gengar in that if you know how to combo with this Pokemon, you're insanely impactful. And you can secure objectives really, really well, kind of just like Gengar in a weird way, because Gengar has sneaky good objective secure, not only with its Unite move, and Shadow Ball does good damage, but actually its Dream Eater secure is really solid. Aegislash has its boosted attack in sword form, and it also has its Unite move. So I think this Pokemon is just in such a solid place right now. And one of the things that happens is you see tanky Pokemon getting picked and almost no one cuts them down to size like Aegislash because it does percentage of max HP damage. So it's a really, really cool choice right now. I really like Aegislash in the current meta. Dragonite, I think, is mid. I like Dragonite. It's middle of the road. I think the Outrage build is bad. If you're asking me where Outrage is, I think it's either C or D. But I think Hyper Beam is still really good. Its problem is it doesn't perform particularly well in a fight. So Outrage is better in a fight. Hyper Beam is better in every other situation, and sometimes slightly better in a fight if you nail a massive one. But that's kind of the issue with Dragonite right here is you think, what do I do with this? What do I do? Right? What's to be done? I'm not good in a fight, so I've got to secure an objective, which is good. I don't know. I like it. I don't love it, but I have been playing more of it lately, and I like it. I just feel like it's very one trick. You know? It's a one-trick pony, baby. This pony only has one trick. And now we have Azumarill. Azumarill. Where do we place thou Azumarill? For me, Azumarill is either C or D. But it does carry. Maybe it's C. I'm having a hard time placing Pokemon in D right now, I'm realizing. Because one thing for sure is I do think, and Pokemon Unite's been great about this, I feel like the tiers keep narrowing. They keep narrowing. Azumarill, Garchomp, all these Pokemon are in this weird zone where I can't say they're unplayable. And you even see some of them used competitively. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this here. I think I'm going to leave it C. I wonder if I'm putting anyone in the D tier today. Maybe I'm being too kind today. Everyone in C tier is D tier. Azumarill needs a little love, but you know, it's just like any of these Pokemon. With a little bit, I think this Pokemon goes a long way. And I still think there are some, you know, places where this Pokemon really shines. I love the, what is it, Aqua Jet Whirlpool build. And I think once you get that upgraded bounce there, that move is really, really solid. Is it Aqua Jet? No, it's Water Pulse, right? Water Pulse Whirlpool? I'm thinking of Water Pulse, I believe. It's that little blob that bounces between enemies. The upgrade on that is sweet. And you're a late game fight, you're awesome, and you unite all the time. I have a hard time putting it too low. All right, let's move on to our attackers here. Cinderace. Cinderace, I think, is A. I've been putting Cinderace S for a very long time, but I think it's A. Competitively, it feels like it's fallen off a bit, right? You don't see it as much, but I think it's still a brutal Pokemon. It does insane amounts of damage. You have outplay potential with Blaze Kick. Pyro Ball, also very good. I think Blaze Kick, though, just gives you more potential to sort of outplay your opponents, which is kind of what you need in certain situations, especially with a massive carry Pokemon. You're going to be playing this Pokemon in the central area. It really falls off viability if you're playing it in Path. And maybe later this week I'll do a tier list based on where to put some of these Pokemon here. But I think Cinderace is really, really good right now still. Again, you're going to want to put it in the center. Cram, I think... Cram. Is this true? I think it might be B. I think it might be B. Maybe I'm being too nice to it, though. I think it might be B. But here's the thing. Okay. Dive Cram actually has a lot of potential, but the skill ceiling on it, meaning how good you need to be with it, is really, really high. Surf Cram, I feel like, is probably the least impactful of the range mage style characters. I almost think you're still C, Cram. C for Cram. I have a hard time with this one. I do think it's better. I think it's better than it used to be. I don't know. I'm sorry. I think it might still be C. I think it might still be C. In the hands of a really good player, though, its viability rockets up. I don't know. I just... or is it B? I might put it B. I don't know. Gosh, I mean, my heart's torn on this one. I want it to be better than it is. I do. But I also think it's better than it's been. It's C for me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Cram. I want you to be better, but I still think you're C. Gardevoir, I think, is B. I think it's fine. I see it used somewhat competitively. People have some good success with it. I see it used in duos, trios. I think solo, it's actually kind of tough because it's just a real sitting duck. And I think there are other carries that are a little stronger than this Pokemon. But everything, as I've said before, in this B tier is a solid choice. I just think there are other Pokemon that kind of outshine it. And that's where I'm feeling right now with Gardevoir. I think a solid B. I think it's pretty good. Greninja, I think, is incredible. I think Greninja is amazing right now. Lowering its Unite move cooldown just means you're going to Unite one more time in a match as Greninja, and that's pretty amazing. And the overall game getting less bulky with, you know, the buddy barriers and such means a Pokemon that executes, like Greninja, executing on Surf, it just puts Greninja in such an amazing position. And, of course, it can secure Zapdos or Dreadnought, any of that with Surf. I think Greninja is silly good right now. Solo, I think it's... I've said this before. I think it's the best solo Pokemon in the game. I think it's the best. Ninetails, I think, is solid. I think Ninetales is really solid. I think that buff, the nerf kind of hurt it a little bit. I'd say it's high B. I think it's probably high B. It's really good, but you know, if you're not playing it with any support, you're just kind of in trouble. And I kind of think the same about Pikachu, honestly. So here's the deal. Pikachu and Ninetales both are better competitively, I think, than they are solo duo trio. They're both still good solo duo trio. Everything in the B tier is. But if you're playing these Pokemon and you don't have anyone on your team that's kind of peeling for you, getting the enemies away from you, protecting you so that you can get done what you need to get done, these Pokemon are both kind of liabilities. And that's what I think happens a lot with some of the B-tier Pokemon. Gardevoir is also in this situation where it's great, but if you don't have anyone supporting you, you're just, you're in so much trouble. Sylveon's a weird one. I'm gonna say Sylveon's, it's A or B. I think competitively, from what Random Gaming figured out basically, which is you can give it a little bit of central area and then run it top and really punish the top meta, I think that's pretty solid. However, in every other situation, it's still just a really good, solid Pokemon. I'm gonna put it B. I'm gonna put it top of B still. I think it's good. It's close to A though. I'm not gonna lie, it's close to A. I'm talking about the Hyper Voice build, by the way. The Hyper Voice build is the build, I think, for Sylveon. Mystical Fire just has too many issues for me to be super competitive, but does it go A? It's used so much more competitively. You know what? I think just because you're seeing it on more teams, and the fact that in trios or duos you can actually do something special with this, I think this Pokemon's gonna be low A. I think it's low A for me. Venusaur, A. A tier, not too much to say about that. Venusaur, it's A tier. I think it's a solid Pokemon. It's hard for it to, you know, not be good. Teams were trying to use it more in sort of this Protect the President comp recently, but overall, it's just good. I think it's better than B. I think it's better than every Pokemon I'm looking at in B, but not by a wide margin. Not by a crazy huge margin. I think so. Decidueye, I think, is A. I think Decidueye is A. I think many people might disagree with me and say it's B, but I think the fact that it just has such crazy good secure with Spirit Shackle actually puts it into A, because a lot of the game comes down to who is getting a lot of these objectives, and Decidueye is a Pokemon that makes things like that happen. So I think this Pokemon is still A, even though when the meta gets tankier, it's, you know, when Blastoise is coming in, spinning at you, it's harder to do what you need to do. But I still think Decidueye is in, again, the best spot it's been ever. Duraludon, I also believe, is A. This Pokemon, not seeing much competitive play, but everything outside of competitive play for this Pokemon, it's still gross. I think Duraludon Dragon Pulse is still absolutely gross. It's weaker now, but it's great. I think it's great. It actually feels like it has a different role from Greninja and Cinderace. So Greninja and Cinderace you put in the central area, but you don't need to do that with Duraludon. You put it in Path, it does just fine. Once it's level 5, it's a menace, and it gets level 5 pretty easy. It doesn't have a moment where you need to get a last hit to get its next level. You can tick into it because it doesn't evolve. So I think Duraludon's actually really, really strong. And now the Pokemon of the hour. I'll set it into the God tier right here, and we will decide where we are putting our Espeon. Espeon just got released. It's currently still gems only. I don't think anyone's been able to unlock it, although people should be able to very, very soon. I think Espeon is better than people think. I think it's better than people. I think most people think it's B, but I think it's better than that. But it's not as good as Cinderace, right? It's not as good as Trevenant, I don't think. And I know we're comparing very different things. It's no Aegislash. But I think it's really good. And I think we actually don't know the full potential of this Pokemon. I think its Unite move is pretty amazing, and you get it a lot. I think Psyshock is incredible at Secure, and I think this Pokemon actually combos KOs pretty well. I might be a little too bold here, but I'm going to say this is a low A tier Pokemon. I think so. I think it actually might be low A tier. I kind of like the look of this list here. If I needed to push things to the extremes, I think I would push a Pokemon like Garchomp down. Maybe I would push a Pokemon like Crustle, maybe, but I don't think so. I think I'd personally maybe rather put Snorlax down, but it's not that bad. However, I really think when I look at this, I don't think there's a Pokemon that's so clearly bad that it's unplayable right now. The closest for me is either maybe Crustle or Snorlax, but I don't think they're unplayable. So I don't really have a lot of use for this D tier right here. As I look at some of our other tiers going through here, I feel pretty good about a lot of these choices here. Some of them fall off a little bit depending on what your team comp is, but I like a lot of these choices. And now it is time to crown our God tier Pokemon. If this was a competitive tier list, I would say there's a different Pokemon that's God tier. And you all know who I'm talking about. It would be Hoopa. But I have to give the crown here to Greninja. I think Greninja is in the best spot it's ever been in the game. Ever. I think it's so freaking good. It's amazing. Solo, it's amazing. Coordinated, I think it's amazing with an ally or two. I just think Greninja has never been better. I can't believe how hard this Pokemon carries. I would assume we have a Greninja nerf incoming at some point. That's just my feeling. I feel like Blastoise, Greninja, Hoopa still. I think they're all sort of in the crosshairs of a nerf at any given moment here. I'm not sure when it's going to happen, but my God tier choice for this patch for Espeon release is going to be Greninja. I think it's just crazy, crazy, crazy. Every time I play it, I can't believe how good it is. Okay, we did it. There's our tier list. I'll do a quick solo queue thing here at the end, but first, well, how do I do this? How do I do this? You know what? I'm thinking about it, and I think I want to just do a whole nother tier list for solo, because there's so much I want to say about it, and this is already pretty long, so no mix-up at the end. You know, the real mix-up at the end are the friends we made along the way. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. I love you very much. See you soon.